All right, let's give this a try.
Howdy, howdy, and welcome back to my Expedition Camper Building video series. Video number 74. We're going to change out some plumbing fittings because sometimes you got to make a few small changes. In this case, some fittings that can't even be unscrewed. So how do we do that? As well as some other plumbing installation tips and also why I don't use wood.
Sometimes when building out anything, right, some things have to be changed. And one thing I did was I added tanks on both sides. And these are my additional tanks that are up front here at the bottom of my kick space underneath the cabinets. So really an unusable space. I was planning on just kind of running some electrical lines and refrigerant lines and or plumbing lines, stuff like down there. But I really figured out how to run all that stuff without having to go down in the kick space. And so I added these additional tanks. And when I did it, I thought it'd be good to have I have a crossover in the front there, right through here. That's where my crossover goes. It's a 1/2-inch line that connects the two. And by having it through that, I could have this be a structural piece and the lines right on the other side of that, and that'll also be my mount for my step up onto my dinette floor, which would be over the batteries here. You can see you got some framing stuff that I've been working out, space and all that for that. Still working on that. But I had to go down to a 1/2-inch because the 3/4-inch line didn't quite fit through that. So I have my 1/2-inch connector. I mean, a 1/2-inch line is good for 5 to 6 gallons a minute. And on a 5/8-inch garden hose, that's all you can really get out of it anyways, maybe up to 7 or 8 gallons a minute. But that's shared between two tanks, right? So one side's only getting half of that. So let's just say it was 8 and it's all the way down to 3 to 4, at most 7 to 8 on the fill. By the time I go through all the filters and everything else, probably really down to 5 to 6. And so that means only each side only needs to handle about 3 gallons a minute. So pretty slow, right, in order for them to fill up equally together. But I wanted a separate line at the front here also, so that way if the camper is parked on a tilt, you know, leaning forward, the lines at the front here will also equalize the tanks. It'll be a secondary transfer point to fill them sooner, to make sure that they're filling, and also, of course, withdrawing at the same pace. But I'm not worried about the empty rate. You know, you're running a sink or a shower for, let's say a shower for at most 10 minutes. I mean, a shower head about 2 gallons a minute, maybe 1.5. Let's just say it's 2 on the higher end. 2 gallons a minute over 10 minutes, 20 gallons. It's a lot of water, right? But one tank can handle that, and the other one will still be filling at some point at some pace. And so it's going to fill just fine. Then you shut the shower off and they're going to equalize, right? But really in the filling process, it'd be nice to have that secondary connection point, the transfer point between the two. Just make sure they're transferring equally, and especially if the camper's low off level or tilted forward or sideways. When I installed those, that's these right here. When I installed these, 3/4-inch fitting. I went over that when I do my spin wheel fittings, but I did 3/4-inch because the fitting actually gets a little lower than a 1/2-inch fitting, so I get the water level down a little bit lower. And I could also put this 3/4-inch fitting on, which is a little bit stronger, and I could do a 3/4-inch tube as well and still maintain a 3/4-inch transfer. However, I can't fit this 3/4-inch tube through the framing like I had planned that I'm going to have here. That's going to elevate my shower pan up ever so slightly, a few inches up, about 2 inches up off the floor. And the reason why I'm doing that is so I can actually do the drain out the side, and so we'll go out the bottom and then exit out the side, so I can actually do maintenance on it should I ever need to. And also I don't have a direct transfer between the shower pan, something you stand on that could be cold, with the outside air, right, or hot with the outside air. I do have, of course, a transmission right below here. So the idea is that I could run out from the shower pan out sideways, go out to another exit point. It then separates, it creates a thermal transfer separation, right? So I have a bunch of insulative, call it material, right? Not allow that heat from the outside to transfer into the shower pan so quickly. And if there ever was a leak or need to make a change, I could access it from being able to reach under the shower pan and remove that fitting instead of having to do it through the floor, which again is right over the transmission, not an easy thing to get to. So that's why I'm doing it that way. But the shower pan also is going to be slightly elevated because I have electrical heating pads going underneath for my heated floors. It'll be throughout the camper, essentially throughout the floor of the camper, and also underneath the shower pan as well. So that way the shower pan is nice and warm in the wintertime, and it creates also more heated space here in the bathroom. I'm going to have to reduce these fittings to fit all that and fit through that structural component to raise the shower pan down to 1/2-inch. So I've got them here. I got my 3/4-inch MPT to my 1/2-inch barbed. I already have my Hernon, I think this is a 618 pipe thread sealant. I like applying this because it's, I think, just far easier and cleaner to work with than pipe thread tape. It doesn't ever like bind up or anything like that, and it's really reusable and it seals immensely well. I know it's way greater than anything I'd ever deal with in the camper here. So I'm going to change this down. One of my challenges is that this will probably just just conflict with the floor or just miss it. So I may unfortunately have to cut this barbed head off, and so I can continue to rotate this. So here we go. Okay, let's see if I can get this off without having to cut the end off here. Not that that's that big of a deal. I know you're probably asking, well, if I have to cut the end off of this one, what about the other one? Am I going to get the new one on without having to do that? Yeah, that's what I thought. It would just hit. The answer is yes. So if I put that up against there, boom, clears, because this is a shorter barb. So I'm good. And you can see this Hernan pipe thread sealant that I applied. A little bit comes off, but it generally stays on. It's fully reusable. This one probably got applied a little bit wet, and so hence where a little bit got stuck in there. Not a big deal. It can be applied wet. It can be applied dry. These ones, I put the thread sealed on last night, so it is definitely dry. And of course, the key thing here is to never have a leak, even though this one here will be accessible. And of course, I want to get these bottomed out and face right now. I can feel from the tightness, it's already tight enough. It's about the same as the other one, so I'm going to take it up right there. I don't think I can get another rotation. And so that will be good. That will be, I will leak test it, but I'm sure that is solid. So now, let's go see about the other one. All right, floor's a little messy here. This is where I come in and out of the camper. And this one's still got a little bit of water on this side. And when I step into the camper, it lifts the side and water comes out. So there's been some water that's been coming out of here, just little dribbles ever since I did my water test and drained the tank since then. I didn't actually drain because I didn't have my drain installed yet, so I actually pumped the water out using my pump. I just simply reversed it or connected up to essentially my drain and drained it out. So I have a feeling we're going to certainly lose some water out of here when that happens. The paper towel will help capture some of it. I think I'm going to have to cut this one. Yep, I'm going to have to cut it. So instead of damaging something here, let me cut that off. All right, so cutting it off. I'm just going to use a small hacksaw to do this. The reason why is because I just don't want to pull like a Dremel out and have to plug it in and just make a whole bunch of plastic, you know, debris everywhere. It's going to shoot it around. It's going to kind of melt it. So this will just be a little cleaner.
I could have avoided all this work by just simply installing some 3/4 to 1/2 inch barbed adapters.
Here we go.
But that would have meant installing 2 more fittings and therefore 4 more potential leak points, which I want to avoid those.
I have to say I'm really excited for what is to come next today as I finish up a lot of these little things. I've got another exciting project coming up. It's going to be a big one. Make some big progress here. There we go. Okay, let's see what water comes out. It's inevitable going to be some. Hopefully it's not a ton, but I think it will be a fair amount. I see water on this. Okay. Well, it is what it is. Now I want it to actually drain down this way. Because by draining down this way, since the truck is raised up in the rear and leaning forward, then I can actually capture it over here instead of it going underneath the tank. I don't want water to get built up under there. Even though it's going to dry out while it's still under construction here in a very dry environment, I still don't want any kind of mildew or anything like that ever building up, of course. It's partly why I use the aluminum for framing. Well, I don't use any wood is probably a better way of saying that. At least down low or anywhere water could get to it. So by having it be all plastic and aluminum down low, and adhesive, not even fasteners really down low. If I do use fasteners for like the aluminum, I try to always think about where water's going to drip to, keep them out of that space, and also make sure, of course, I'm using stainless. Even if they're black in color, they're a black oxide stainless, so they are not going to rust. And same with the fasteners, the nuts, they're the captive nuts. Make sure you use those being stainless wherever I can on those. Sometimes always stainless nuts aren't available, but they're at least a zinc coating on those. There we go. So minimal water loss. Use that to clean floor, and there we go. Now I can go and start putting the floor in and get this plumbing line in, this interconnect between these two tanks, and that'll be great. So that's another big thing that's coming up soon. That's everything. I'm probably going to cut that rest of the pass-through the camper here, probably today.
and that's going to be exciting. Cut it today, without a doubt.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's going to be very exciting. But before I get to cutting that pass through, I'm also going to try to wrap up some more plumbing, finish the cabinetry framing, and also installing the last large appliance, as well as starting some of the big electrical installation. But that pass through is going to be cut soon, and it's coming up on a video very soon. So thank you for watching my DIY Expedition Camper build video series. So much more to come. Thank you for sharing, watching, and liking, as well as subscribing.